here's a really good tip I can give you, and it's called pillar content strategy. Essentially, the pillar content strategy is like creating a pillar content that uh, pillar content is just a blog, okay? It's just a blog that goes more in depth, and you can really focus on it because it's your expertise, and it's general in the sense that most of your audiences might want to read it. That's what a pillar content strategy is about. Then in that pillar, using that pillar content strategy, you can branch out into four or three tinier, more niche blogs. And I will show you this how we create this structure in detail. So let's take a look at an example, a car wash company, for example. If we're writing a SEO content structure, if we're planning SEO content structure for a car wash company, let's say, how would we go about it? So the first is creating the title, coming up with the title or a topic for pillar content. Uh, when you're creating pillar content, don't think about like the best tip, and there's a lot of tips out there, but the best tip I can give you is think about what questions that you often get asked when you're in this industry. Um, if you're a car wash company, maybe the question might be, okay, how do you guys actually wash my car? Yeah, do you wash it with the pressure washer, or are you gonna have people washing your car, right? So how do you guys wash it, and what's a good step? What's a good procedure, right? That these questions might often be asked. If that's the case, then that's a good content strategy. Another tip, similarly related to the previous one, is to read what you wrote on the FAQs, frequently asked questions. Many people write good FAQs, but they never made the connection that FAQ might be a good spot to find good blog title ideas, right? So, okay, let's proceed. So we have a pillar content that we talk about step by step of washing the car properly. Then the idea is while you're writing this content, you want to think about, okay, I need to branch out into tinier blogs, right? More niche, more niche, more niche. So you'll be constantly thinking about this, and then you'll get to a point where let's say in this case, let's say uh, when you're washing when you're talking about washing cars, we use this type of machine, this type of soap, this type of machinery, and that. But most of those, many of your users or readers cannot implement at their home, for example. They don't have the machinery that you use, they don't have the professional equipment, etc., etc. So maybe you say, okay, should I write a blog about washing cars at home, right? So then you can naturally uh, implement a sentence that say, if you're looking to wash cars at home, then read more about this. Then you link it to this new blog where you'll talk about washing cars at home, right? Car washing tips at home. So then you can write more about it, and then that creates another branch blog. So as you can see, compared to the pillar content and this content is more niche, right? This one is car washing steps, but at home. This one is car washing steps in general, right? And this is what I call pillar content and then the branch content. So you might also have another tip that I can give you is called expanding on specific professional terms, right? So while you're talking about the steps to create those blog content, uh, you might mention some things like, oh, we use two bucket method strategy, for example. Then you can expand, if you're looking to read more about two bucket method strategy, click this, right? And it takes them to another blog that talks about what is two bucket wash method strategy in depth. And now, as you can see, you have one pillar content, two branches, right? And another third implementation that I can think about is like the footer area, right? As you get to the footer area, the conclusion part, it is safe to assume that the reader already reached bottom part of your blog. That means you have earned a certain level of trust and they really enjoyed reading it. So that's a really good situation that you want to get in and you don't want to waste it. So what you do is you think about creating a blog that you can redirect the users to if they want to read more. So this comes before the CTA. The CTA is just linking it directly back to your homepage or your services page, right? Like if you're talking about car wash, you might say, oh, if you're looking to get professional car wash, then come to us. That's a CTA, that's the marketing, right? People detect that very early on. But if you implement it within the passage, something like, oh, we have a list of top car wash car washes in Sydney, for example, then they might want to look at, okay, oh, I got options to explore. I will look at that, right? That takes them to the best car wash in Sydney, for example. Then this title doesn't look like a sales or marketing blog to you, right? It just talks about it's very neutral, non-competitive type of blog. So this comes in naturally for some skeptical readers, right? Because they don't want to be sold at. So if you and so let's talk about the title. In this in this title, you'll notice that I'm being very specific. Like for example, ceramic coated cars, best car wash in Sydney. Ideally, I want to say top 10 best car wash in Sydney. That's what I want. That's the title that I want. But this title is heavily competitive on search result. Like this is database informed idea, right? Like if you see that this topic is like very competitive, many blog writers write about it, then competing on this area might not work, right? That's not a good strategy because then you'll just rank very last in the ranking system and it's not going to get any clicks, right? So then you want to write it in a way that you find a good spot. It's like finding a parking spot at a like Walmart or something, right? Then you talk about this, then you talk about something specific, right? That maybe you specialize in. So then the customers can read and this one ranks well. This blog then also mentions your company, right? It goes in depth about your company, but also don't be scared to mention your competitors, for example, right? Mentioning competitors in a neutral sense gives you a sense of authority and also tells the readers that this is a neutral, non-competitive blog, so it's not all marketing, right? It's truth embedded into some marketing, right? And you write this blog, so now you have one pillar content stretching out into three blocks. Then what happened is you'll find that later on, right, some of these blogs do well, they perform well, right? And that's good. Then you'll find that the readers are also reading more about this through this, right? That's good. So when you're writing these tiny blogs, you also might want to be thinking, okay, can I naturally, it has to come naturally, uh, redirect the users to another blog, right? Might want to say, for example, if you're more interested about professional car washing methods, then read this. Then this will redirect to this one, right? That's kind of how it works. So this whole thing is now called a content cluster. And in your website, as you grow, you want to have like multiple clusters talking about specific sectors of your expertise. Uh, in my company, in my website company, Full Label, uh, what we have is we do website development, right? That's the whole umbrella. But inside that umbrella, we have security, we have design, we have actual development. So we will talk about many different sectors and then have those sectors expand out, branch out, just like this into clusters, right? So we will, for example, we'll have a security cluster where we talk about SSL. What is the site security? What's malware? How does that happen? How to prevent yourself, right? Then we'll have another one called design and UI UX, right? How do you design websites? What's the flow, etc., etc. We might have another one about SEO and blog writing and things like that, right? So now you have a lot of clusters, right? And then later on it can expand into tracking, which blog ranks well. Then you start seeing the patterns. Then you get more advanced, and then you get more advanced, and you get into more SEO stuff. But generally, this part is what most business owners should keep in mind, right? Because this really helps structuring your content, because you don't want to have, you don't want to be writing content mindlessly, right? You don't want to be pushing out content just for the sake of content. I've seen uh one of the often go-to methods. It's like if you're selling dog food, for example, then you say, what is dog food, right? But you don't want to write like that, because nobody's going to search what is dog food, right? And even if they did, that topic is often competitive, right? You don't want to be too generic. When you're selling dog food, nobody asks you what is dog food, right? The customers might ask what dog food is good for my pug, for example. That's good, right? So look at what your customers are asking and take that as a good example, inspiration spot to write or come up with good topic ideas.